We are on YouTube, guys. So I want to tell you a little bit about Kim. He is such a great friend of mine. In just a few months that I've known him, he's got four boys and one daughter, and he's got a beautiful wife, and he's got a wonderful story about how God healed him from disease and illness, and how he's been able to do his entrepreneurship with Worldwide Builders. So, without further ado, hi Kim, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Thank you for having me on the show.
You are welcome. How are you there in It's Jacksonville, right?
That's correct.
All right. How long you been in Jacksonville?
I've been in Jacksonville since 2002, but we moved away after the military. Uh, Wanted to go as far as possible from the Navy people.
Now wait a minute. Now I'm a Navy girl.
We
That's
went down to
okay.
Sarasota, Florida. That's
Yes.
kind of where we started the journey there. Was able to walk away from corporate. Um,
Yeah.
that's pretty much kind of we've been very blessed with a lot of different things, and being able to replace the income from the military and going into the entrepreneurship. And Sarasota was the place to be. We had a beautiful home there, right on the beach in Siesta Key. Um,
Oh.
so that's kind of was a dream accomplished. Wanted to live on the beach on a nice home, being able to park the boat on the back, so the water had to be shallow enough for it to so that we don't run aground. So I grew up on the water, so I love boats. I love boating. We're getting ready to acquire a yacht, so we're waiting on the market timing right now. We're looking at three different yachts, so we're pretty excited about that. But my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, so we had
Mm.
to move back to Jacksonville uh, and be her caregiver full time. So that's kind of a big turnaround for us, considering that I'm also in remission for 9.5 years. So, but
Oh,
I wanted,
wow.
yeah, I wanted to be closer to my mom because we're very close, and she has no desire to go to Sarasota.
Wow. So she likes it
uh,
there in Jacksonville.
it's not much of Jacksonville, but her youngest grandson is there, and
Oh.
my mom will do anything for her grandkids. She takes care of her grandkids better than she take care of us. So,
Oh. Well, Kim, you and I, we haven't known each other very long, but with Worldwide Builders and me being a part of that, I'm just so honored. Can you tell me just a little bit about like, where you were when you found out about the Big C and how you got through that whole transition to be able to be who you are through God? It's an amazing story.
well, absolutely, absolutely. So early on in my Navy career, I had a very unique recruiter who was desperate to have another recruit in the Navy, but he didn't tell me the full scoop of what I needed to do. One of our biggest goal was to actually be in special forces, um, and then come to find out after special training and everything else that there was more requirements required, but not disclosed at the time of enlistment. And
Yeah.
one of those was to have clearance to be into the special forces for the Navy. And so, therefore, at the time, and still today, I was a citizen of France. And to have a dual citizenship with the U.S., there was a lot of political things going on. So it was very tough to get a dual citizenship. But after 6 years, I had a good commanding officer who knew the right people to be able to pull the strings off for me to get my citizenship and go into the training for the special forces as the original goal was. But during this whole time, I already had looked for Plan B. because obviously corporate America was a little disappointing. And usually, when you're not very sure, you're going to start looking for plan B. And that's how I led into the network marketing and direct sales industry. And at the same time in the financial industry. So I was doing both at the same time, because I knew I was going to have some licensing challenges for being so stubborn and not ever want to read another book again. So I was pretty firm on that. Um, Luckily, I'm a hands-on person. So after about 3 years or so of field training, the fact that I had to do it part-time, considering I was full-time in the Navy, all this is taking place part-time. I had to be very wise with the spare time that I had. And the one word that I can remember understanding very well was the word leverage, right? I had to
Yes.
know and learn how to leverage people to fill in the time that I didn't have to build a network marketing business and to build a financial services business. Um, so, with learning how to leverage people very well, we've got a lot of success early on. I was able to achieve some of that success at a very young age. At the age of 19 is when we first achieved a six-figure income, which back then was a big deal. Today is not a big deal. Nobody talks about six figures anymore today. But that was a big deal back then. Being at 19, um, being able to achieve that milestone was not a something that was overlooked. And then shortly after that, even before I got my licenses, we were able to achieve a seven-figure income 2 years later after that. And then not only that, right after that is when I was able to obtain all six of my licenses finally. I think, honestly, I think the state felt sorry for me and said, just give it to the guy, let him move on.
Right. Give it to the guy. Yeah.
After he took the licenses 13 times, all six of them, he's like, I think we made enough money off of him. Let's just give it to him. But
Well, it sounds like you had a storm go through your life and it just changed everything for you, but you still kept going.
so that's when I actually saw the light at the end of the tunnel, because of the business that we built on a part-time basis. After getting licensed, my first check was one single check, six figure. And I saw, that's more than what I was making in the Navy in a whole year. It was almost 2 times the check. Okay. In just one single check, which I saw the light at the end of the tunnel and say, this is something good to pursue. It's not something that's going to be temporary, but it's something that can truly, truly replace a career. So I kept
Mm.
going forward. I still had 4 year left to finish in the military, achieving the goals there, finally, and being able to walk away as a senior enlisted person. They had just passed the board for E8, which is senior chief. But if I had taken that rank, I would have to sign up again for another 6 years. And definitely that was not on my agenda. I
You're not
wasn't
in the
going to be
Navy
off of
anymore.
them another 6 years. So,
Mhm.
I had to part ways and get my nice honorable discharge, build a very close relationship with my commanding officer, who at the time was the chief of staff of the U.S. Navy.
Oh,
And
wow.
he resigned about a year after I finished my enlistment, right before Obama took office. And I'm sure those of you guys can put one and one together and probably figure out who that chief of staff was. But just to protect his identity, I prefer to kind of hold off his name and stuff like that. So, if he's going to come forth and mention it, I would rather have him mention it than me mention it for him, um, because we have a close relationship. And so I was able to move on into the entrepreneurship world. And then in 2015 is when I was diagnosed. Uh,
Oh,
and so when I was diagnosed, that was a big hit for us. I mean, it slowed me down for about 7.5 years, trying to figure out, what am I going to do, right? Luckily, we've had some incredible friends who introduced us to a lot of health and wellness solutions, and that allowed us to beat it and allow us to put us in remission now for 9.5 years. And recently, in the last 2 years, we decided to re-engage in the network marketing industry, even though we have a platform with a pretty strong community, as you mentioned, worldwide builders. Um, we began the foundation of that community in 2002 while I was still in the Navy, getting ready to basically resign at that time. Okay, and it wasn't easy along the way. There was a lot of bumps, a lot of roads, there's a lot of innovations. But to this day, we've been able to incorporate 9 different streams of income inside of that community. And majority of the people who have all 9 streams of income in our community are 90% of them are in the 2% bracket. Um, 50% of them are at least in the 20% income bracket. And last year we missed our goal to be in the 1% income bracket by a small margin, which is a quarter mil. But we're not going to make that mistake again this year. We have pretty much everything under control. We've made a few changes. One of the biggest changes we've made was incorporating AI and incorporating technology into the platform. And I
I
think
love
that's how
AI. I love your program. I love it.
that's how you and I met, I believe, is through the AI program,
Yep.
through a referral, a mutual friend that you do a lot of networking with. And that's kind of how we met, and that's how we hit it off. But that portion of the platform has not only allowed us to organize things much simpler, much more organized, but has made it very effective for us to grow over 300% in 15 months in terms of size of organization. Um,
Wow.
because it was so
Wow.
much easier to duplicate a trainer. At the end of the day, it's not about how much or how well you do, it's how many other people can do what you do without your assistance, right? One of
Mhm.
the things I learned from one of my 5 mentors is understanding the attributes of a leader, right? um, One of the biggest things you can learn in this industry is that just because you make the money doesn't make you a leader. um, the income has nothing to do with leadership. But what leadership has to do is, number one, is how independent are you, right? How well can you do things without having someone assisting you or guiding you to where you only need important things where you need guidance, right? And then
Mhm.
secondly is being able to be a good problem solver, right? And good problem solving is not passing the problem to your sponsor. That's not solving the problem.
That is so true. That is so true. You cannot pass it over to your sponsor, and some people don't have a sponsor to pass it over to. They just need to take care of it themselves.
That's right. So how well can you solve problems is a big key to it, right? And do it professionally, doing it without burning bridges, right?
Mhm.
Then you got to be consistent, whether it is consistent showing up, consistent in the field, consistent in your meeting attendance, your discipline, your mindset. Everything has to be consistent, right? Um, and not only you need to be consistent, but you need to have a vision, right? So you need to be
Mm.
able to share that vision And before you can do all that, it has to mean something to you. It has to be relevant to why you do what you do. You know, a lot of people can say a lot of things, but they fail to put it on paper, which I think is crucial. You think about this. If your significant other were to receive a love letter from you, would they want to receive a text, an email, or a handwritten letter? you know
That's a trick question. I don't know, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
what would be more meaningful to you, being that you're a
A
lady,
letter,
right? A
a
letter
letter.
personalized in the
Yeah,
handwriting is going to go a long way. It's just going to go
yeah,
much further than someone just sending a text or sending an email, right? But
yeah.
the most important thing outside of just solving problems, you got to be able to master the art of giving assignments. So
Yes,
anytime you meet with someone, you got to give them a reason to come back to you with homework or with a task. And you got to be able to assign that task and determine, was this task too difficult, or was this task too easy? If it was too difficult, then the next time you meet, obviously you're going to have to lessen the difficultiness of the task, right? But if it was too easy, then you're going to have to increase the difficulty of the next task to
right.
find the right area that's going to allow you to progress from where you are to where you want to be, right? So this is
Mhm.
kind of how you develop leaders. This is how you be able to develop strong leaders. And because of the technology, it has facilitated that process and streamlined everything to where in our community we apply 75% high tech and we go 25% high touch. At the end of the
Mm.
day, technology is good, but it will never replace the personal touch, right? So you got
Amen.
that final touches through the personal touch to be able to solidify a strong bond, a strong unity. And everybody has to speak the same language. They have to be able to practice the same thing. I shouldn't have to, if I were to hand a brand new person over to you, Carrie, I shouldn't have to doubt or guess what's going to take place. It should be predictable. And that's where the trust comes in, right? Does
Mhm.
everybody speak the same language? Does everybody practice the same practice in the field? Um, can you
Is it
trust another person?
duplicatable? Is it
Exactly.
duplicatable? Yeah.
So that to us, that's been a big deal because that's the kind of environment I grew in. I was very fortunate that I was never misled in the beginning. Someone is always there to hand walk me, and I've been very grateful. Been very blessed. Our family has lived a very good life. Continue to live a very good life. Um, and right now I'm able to spend as much time with my mom, which a lot of people sometimes don't have that luxury to do that. And in our house we can't say nursing home because you'll end up on the next newscast. So
You are very funny. So tell me about the plans for the future for Worldwide Builders. We have about 10 more minutes left and I did want to go over that. So I know you got involved with these beautiful companies, and real quick I did want to throw in that I love your coaching program. It has changed my life. Just being a part of all the different programs that you're a part of, where we can use something that is really good technology that has grown my business 80 to 90%, and just engagement on Facebook, and AI. I didn't like it when I first saw it. And then when I met you and I went through Worldwide Builders, I went through some, things that you did. And I really started understanding that God is in control of AI and it is a good thing. There are good companies out there like NowSite. And it's been a real pleasure to be a part of that. So tell us a little bit about some of the businesses and anything coming up in the future.
well, our community focuses on four main pillars. But in those four pillars, we focus to follow the two biggest trend that are going on right now in in America or around the world, I should say. And the first trend is you got to position yourself globally. Don't limit yourself to do business just in a country, right? You got to be able to do your business on a global standpoint, right? So that's one of the reasons why I walked away from the financial industry and decided to move more towards the direct sell and network marketing, is to position yourself globally. And then secondly, obviously, since pandemic, if not before pandemic, but has been reinforced even more after pandemic, is having that home-based business, that entrepreneurship, and be able to have control of your time, right? So those are the two trends that we heavily focus on in every parts of the platform, but we broke it down to four different pillars. And the first one is definitely AI technology. We believe that in the next 3 to 5 years, if you don't have somewhat AI involved in your platform or technology of the 23rd century, you're going to be so far behind where everybody else is going to be so far ahead. And that's our first pillar. The second pillar is financial awareness. You need to go on. There's a lot of things going on with fiat money versus God's money. You need to be aware. You need to be educated about what goes on. Right now, today, we teach people how to generate fiat money, but not to keep it in fiat money, to make sure they convert it to God's money, which is naturally gold and silver, right? So at the end of the day, you need to be aware of all that. You need to be aware of how you can capture things like transaction fees through debit cards or credit cards. You need to be able to recapture that, right? And then thirdly, you need clarity. That's where our coaching program comes in. We coach regardless of the industry, regardless of the service or the product. We're a product blind, industry blind. Okay. We have penetrated over 29 different industries with the same style coaching that I grew in. And now we literally made it public. It was a community that we grew privately for a very, very long time. Okay. And then the fourth pillar focuses on lifestyle, which is where your health and wellness, anything that need to do with additional savings on the same money that you currently spend, just spend it more wiser, right? And be able to get more for your buck, right? And at the same time, when you get more value, you get more savings. And then you can take those savings and apply it to the other three pillars. Either invest it in
Amen.
yourself, invested into your investments, invested into your business through technology, whatever you want to put that extra that you generated from the same money that you're spending. We're not teaching people how to spend additional. We just teach them how to spend the same money but get more bang for your buck. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah,
So,
it
so
does.
when you have these four pillars that are positioned globally and focus mainly on being able to work from home. Think about these single parents. Think about these spouses that want to bring their husbands, or versus vice versa. They want to bring the other person home, right? I think the one of the most undermanned area in the family quality is having parents spend enough time with the children, but yet you have one person that's either working full time and then the other person that's home with the children, or vice versa. But as far as having both parents present on your football games, your baseball games, your dance lessons, instrument lessons, it's rarely happen anymore today in America or around the world. So being able to bring those qualities back into a family where you have the children that actually have a relationship with both the mom and the dad, not just the dad and not the mom, or not just the mom and not the dad, right? But to be able
Hmm.
to have that strong relationship, today it's like kids. they're dying to leave the house because they don't really have a close relationship. But had they got a close relationship, imagine you could have your kids with you as long as you could and cherish those moments. Because once they live outside of your home, it's not the same. They don't come home as
Right.
often, and
Right.
you can't buy back that time. Money will not buy that time.
No, that is so true. So
So that's
true.
kind of the community we've built that has 5 core values, and that's starting with faith, family, finance, fitness, and fun. Those are the 5 core values we've lived by for over 3 decades in our community. And so we're pretty excited. And I owe this all to my coach. Amazing guy. I meet with him Monday through Saturday, 3 o'clock in the morning every day. It doesn't matter whether it rains, snow, sun. It don't matter.
3 o'clock in the morning, you meet with your coach.
That's
Now
right.
that's one
Every
I've
day.
never heard of before.
Yep. For the last
Wow.
30 years, that's never failed. So
Wow.
we're pretty excited about that, and he's the brains behind everything, and he's done everything for us. All I do is carry the message and put it into practice. The fact that I grew into this community and became the person that I am today because of this community. So that's pretty much the whole thing in a whole nutshell. Without going over time here, but we appreciate you bringing us to the show, and hope this will help the community, and help reach out to people that need this, because this is very and in case they 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 need to reach us, it's pretty easy to find us. It's my first and last name. You can go to Kim at kimmillado.com, and the website is www.kimmillado.com. It's very easy to find us. It's not hard to find us. It's the same thing on social media. It's Kim Mulatto. It don't matter what platform it is.
Wow. Well, I just have to say that I appreciate you being on the show today, Kim, and that I appreciate our friendship and, helping with the coaching program and the businesses and just going out there and changing the world and making it a better place and health and wellness and technology too. We have so many beautiful things coming that will actually cut people's work in half. Like they won't be working as hard, right? If you know how to point, click, copy, and paste, you're in. So, all right, Kim. Well, thank you so much for being on Living a Healthy Lifestyle Show. We appreciate you so much, and we'll have you back on again to tell us what is going on in the future with Worldwide Builders and what's going on with all your businesses, and give your family lots of love for us. Thank you for being on today, and God bless.
Thank you.